All right, and let's get into it. Okay, so now everybody should be able to see my screen of the video breakdown, right? Or the video? Okay, well, let's get started. So the first minute here, if you guys want to pay attention to this early on, the first minute is essentially a fight for inside position. Okay, Dom, my training partner this round, is going to be doing a very, very good job of trying to fight for inside position and making me have to refight, re-pummel back inside. We talked last week about the importance of the guard player keeping their feet pointed at their opponent. So here I want to keep the bottoms of my feet pointed at Dom as much as possible. Dom is going to try to fight this off by pummeling inside. Okay, so right here, Dom takes an immediately good, strong position. Dom advances his right knee forward, connects his right knee to his right elbow, and he shuts my left leg in the outside position. So he's essentially made this leg useless for me. So I'm going to need to find a way to pummel that back inside. On the same notion of inside position, I'm taking an underhook right here. Dom's trying to fight his right arm into an underhook on my left arm here. You see that I got my hand inside of his bicep, my hand or my wrist. So he wants to get a good underhook to control this far shoulder here, but this underhook is stopping him from being able to get a good control there. Dom is not doing anything to deal with my right arm here. What I would recommend Dom at this point is to put his head on the mat as a base support and use his left hand to control my right elbow. But since I do that, I'm able to start grabbing gi pants. I can use my right hand to frame. Now here I off balanced him, which is going to force him to lose the fight for the underhook on this side that we were looking at. Once I roll to my left side, I have this gi pant grip. I'm able to pull everything to this direction, to the left, forcing Dom to base with his right hand over here, thus losing the fight for the underhook. Now, again, talking about the inside position, you're going to see Dom pummel his right hand back inside, right there, and I immediately pummel my left hand back inside. That has to be instinctual for you guys. You guys can't just surrender the inside position anytime someone fights for it. So here I have inside position. As soon as he pummels, I re-pummel. Now I was able to elevate his leg and I got my left foot back inside. Remember way early on, so we're at 30 seconds, Dom came in a way that completely shut out my left leg. So all this fight has been to get my left leg back inside. Let's go back forward. And here my left foot makes it back inside. So now I have the inside position on Dom. Dom is keeping his knees tight together in an effort to keep me out from underneath of his legs. Okay, so he's going to hip switch here. The importance of this hip switch is it hides his center line for me. Dom's center line on his legs is now facing out here to the right-hand side. If Dom's legs were facing me, like if he was squared up with me, it'd be much easier for me to pummel inside. But since he switched his hips, it was difficult. And he was able to put his knees back down to the mat. A big thing about going into Ashigurami is we need a knee off the mat. I have that here, so I'm fighting to get into Ashigurami. He hides his center line from me by switching, and then he puts his knees on the mat, so I no longer have that Ashigurami entry, but he immediately takes his knees back off. Now this is going to be a really good interaction. Watch this. Right here, Dom pummeled his leg outside. So right now I have inside position, but he takes away my inside position by pummeling his right leg to the outside. So what do you guys think I'm going to have to do here? Again, feel free to unmute yourselves, chime in. What do you guys think is going to be my next most logical move?
Frame or repummel?
Good. Frame and repummel where?
To your right, because, well, you're going to have to bring your left leg around maybe to either stop him or frame him from coming around your right.
All right. Who agrees with Ant?
I think you might do that high leg scissor with your left leg to prevent the guard pass first.
Exactly right. So Ant, Hayden, you guys nailed it. So I'm going to be using my left leg to come around. And now I've got an inside position again. So he very briefly, pummeled out from inside position, and then I immediately recover inside position. Now I'm going to use my left foot to off balance to get more inside position, right? So my left foot comes in, there's my right hand. Okay, so first it was the left foot. Now I take my right hand, pummel inside to a scoop grip. Now I'm going to bring my right knee inside. So I'm just getting left arm, right knee. I'm sorry, left leg, right arm, right knee. I'm just incrementally working into more and more inside position. And now Dom's off balance. What I should have done here, I should have stood up. That'd be the, if I was going against someone a little tougher, a little more competitive, I'd probably stand. I would not recommend doing what I'm about to do here, where I pass the leg over. The reason I was looking for back control, I was trying to get cute, trying to be fancy.
You're just messing around with blue belts, huh?
Kind of, yeah. But what Dom could do here is he could punch in a left underhook, and then he could kick his left leg out to the side, falling onto his left hip, and essentially would slide his hip over my body to come out to my left-hand side. But he goes for a cross-choke, ill-advised cross-choke instead, and gives up top position. So that entire minute, we just watched a minute 20 where the entire fight was to get to the inside position. So I hope you guys appreciate how crucial, how important this is, of constantly fighting to get back inside, to anchor myself onto Dom and put myself into a good attacking position. Now we're going to move on to another topic of study. Now that I'm on top, we're going to be looking at setting wedges around the body to inhibit movement, learning to move and change my pinning methodology with however he's moving. So one pin won't necessarily work for all kinds of escape attempts. And then we're going to look at limb extension, which is going to show itself time and time again. So again, let's look at wedgement places, dynamic pinning and moving around. And then anytime I see limb extension, we're going to try to get into a submission. So those three things. So we initially start off with Dom's knees pointed away from me. That's great. That makes it very, very hard for him to recover. At this point, Dom has two fundamental choices. What do you guys think they are? What are Dom's two, if you had to really simplify it, there's two big choices here.
Pull away or shrimp in.
That's right. He's got to turn away or he's got to turn in. That's exactly right, Greg. So I need to have a plan ready for both of those realistic opportunities. I can't really decide the way Dom's going to move right now. I have to be ready for how he's going to move. If he turns away, that'd be a really easy. What do you guys think would happen if he turns away? What would I try to do?
Back take.
Back take. If he turns in, this one gets a little trickier. I'm going to try to keep his knees out. I'm going to use a V frame in his hip. You guys will see both these play out because Dom tries both. Initially, Dom tries to turn away. I use my left elbow to control his hips, to slow down the speed at which he can turn away. And I use that slow speed to punch my left knee behind his armpit, behind his tricep. So now I've started to set wedges in the inside position to inhibit his movement. Now Dom realizes that he's getting into deeper waters by turning away, so he starts turning back into me. So again, my goal or what I want is to keep his knees pointing away from me. If his knees start to face toward me, I do this all the time. If his knees begin to face toward me, I place my left knee up on his belly and I make a V frame to shut out his knees. Okay, so right there, my left knee and my left elbow are so close together that it's hard for him to get his knees inside. Guys, I use this all the time, so make sure you guys are filing this one away, writing this down, whatever. When the knees and the feet begin to point toward you from side control, control tight to the hips. I use my left knee and my left elbow in this case. His knees begin to turn toward me, and I control and pin the hips with my left knee, my left elbow, and now my left bicep and arm here. Now something else happened. We were so focused on talking about hip control that we missed something that happened simultaneously, and that's limb extension. You guys see right here. Dom is reaching with his left arm. There's no real reason for this. Dom's left arm should remain at his side. But he's extended his left arm, and as a result, you guys are going to see I've now hooked it with my right arm. So the entire time that I'm making sure the knees don't come back inside, I'm simultaneously working into attacks on this limb that he, gave to me on a silver platter. I saw the limb extension. I wrap my right arm around it, and then that right arm maintains control. So my right arm's still there. I'm going to hook my right leg over the head as my cross-face leg. So if you guys look right here, my right leg is going to be out of position quick. But since I already have that arm wrapped, the next step is to start setting wedges around the body in preparation for the arm bar. So my right leg goes over the head right there. So there's my cross-face leg. And now it's going to be a matter of getting my torso leg in place. My left knee is going to come off the mat shortly, I'm sure. I sit, left knee comes off the mat there. So I sat first. And now I'm going to look to get my torso leg in place. Sitting into a quarter arm bar like this is very, very good for entering into arm bars from side control, but it's very poor for controlling and finishing. So as soon as I sit to this quarter arm bar being this scenario where I have my left knee and shin in the armpit, so no torso leg across. I have my cross-face leg, no torso leg, but I immediately pass my torso leg across to stop his turnout escape. If I went to move that torso leg in place, Dom would have been able to get all the way to his knees. But by immediately transitioning from that quarter arm bar with no torso leg to a full arm bar with a torso leg, I've shut down his escape. Does anybody have any questions on anything they've seen so far?
Was your right heel under his right armpit for the quarter armbar position?
Good question. My right heel was back heeling into the head and neck. So my right leg was not. Okay. Yeah, so my right leg is back heeling against the neck, against the head.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're moving on to the next section. Based on my notes, it looks like we're going to be talking more about inside position and limb extension. So again, Dom comes in, once again, knee and elbow connected, shutting out my left leg. He's doing a good job there. He's going to try to put his weight on me, and there I'm able to pummel my left leg back inside. Now that was really good by Dom. Okay, I don't know if you guys appreciate what just happened there, but here I have inside position. I have double butterfly hooks. Dom is going to take his right knee and he pummels back to the inside knee first by sliding shin to shin right here, punching down, and he takes that inside position away, forcing me to re-pummel again. So that was a good attempt by Dom to take the inside position after he lost it. Now, I've got Dom's legs elevated, which means I can go into Ashigarami. However, Dom has a certain control that is going to stop me from getting to an Ashigarami. Who thinks they know what it is? Anyone else? Anyone who hasn't chimed in yet? Otherwise, anyone else, feel free. What is Dom doing right now that's stopping me from getting into Ashigarami?
Is it it's not the underhook, is it?
It is the underhook, Ant. It is the underhook. Why is it the underhook? You want to take a guess? Think about it.
You won't be able to fully get your left leg around up into the hip while he's securing his upper body to yours.
Yeah, that underhook here is keeping his hips back and away from me. So you're right. I want to try to get his hips a little further over me so I can extend my left leg and reach my left leg to the hip. Right now, is holding me kind of far away. So if I were to extend my left leg and try to place my left foot in the hip for Ashigarami, it would not reach. So it takes me a little bit to realize this. And here now I start to try to punch in an underhook to deal with that. But now that I'm fighting on the underhook, Dom moves his weight back and away, and I lose my opportunity for the Ashigarami. However, what did Dom leave behind? His right arm, good, but what specifically about his right arm that we've talked about?
Your neck.
It's up in my neck. It's in what kind of a position here?
It's on the floor.
So on the floor, that's really good too. Being on the floor is definitely, because normally when limbs are on the floor like that, they're extended. Again, they're not contracted in tight to the body. I'm going to stop the share for a second. Okay, everyone can see me? When elbows and limbs are in tight to the body like this, especially the elbow, when the elbow's in tight to the body, there's no arm lock. In order for there to be an arm lock, your opponent needs to get a wedge between your elbow and your body. They need to be able to separate your upper arm from your torso. Thinking about an arm bar, an Americana, a Kimura, an arm triangle, and any other submission you guys can think of. If you guys think about how the body is moved around with these submissions, there's always something placed between the upper arm and the body. So if I can keep my elbow and my upper arm glued to my body, there is no submission except for maybe a wrist lock, okay? So anytime you see limbs extended away from the body, occupy this space as the attacker. As the attacker gets something in here, just to keep that arm there. Even if you're not going to attack right away. If you get something between here and they go to clamp back down, you're going to keep your arm or your leg or whatever's in here is always going to be able to pry that arm back away from the body. So anytime you have an extended limb, look to occupy that space. And here I am doing so with my left arm. Now I don't have the angle because, if you guys are interested, I'll explain why that failed. Right now, Dom's elbow is pointing out here to my left, to his right, and you can tell because of how his hand is placed.
You're not on screen, sir, Coach.
Oh, very, very sorry. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, here, you guys can tell his elbow's pointing out this way. I need his elbow pointing more or less toward my elbow. So I need to be able to rotate his arm. The reason I can't is because he's got weight on it. If his hand came off the mat, it would be much easier for me to get the submission. But since his weight was on the arm, I gave up on it. But now that I have the underhook, what can we go back to? And what was the underhook stopping me from doing earlier?
The ashigarami.
I punched an underhook in, so the ashigarami is going to start to be available for me again. So I'm going to look to start going into the legs. Here I do a little bit of a fancier one. I roll through. So now I have an ashigarami. I've got a leg entanglement. I'm going to quickly talk about straight ashi versus cross ashi. Straight ashi, whereas if I pass his leg to this side, to my right hand side, where it's the easiest way to explain this for people who might not know. His left leg never crosses my center line. His left leg comes straight across my right hip. Okay, so that's one form of ashi. I prefer cross ashi, so I don't know why I passed it to the outside here. Cross ashi, where it goes over my left side, gives me access to the inside heel hook. Straight ashi gives me access to the outside heel hook, the weaker of the two. So here I'm going for the weaker of the two attacks. I opted for the weaker side, but if you guys were going against somebody tougher, I'd recommend going cross ashi. And I believe I'd make that transition anyway. I believe, yeah, straight ashi was failing, so I start to look to pass his foot across. And now I'm going to have cross ashi, where I will now have an inside heel hook exposed, and I take it there. So cross ashi is a stronger leg entanglement than straight ashi. I'll just mention one because it gives you access to, stop the screen share quick. The cross ashi gives us access to the inside heel hook instead of the outside heel hook. So it gives us a stronger attack. It's generally easier to lock a triangle around the leg, so it gives you closed wedges instead of open wedges. And then it also makes it easier to control your opponent's secondary leg because it's in front of you. So anytime you can control both legs, it really makes it tough for the person to fight or do anything when they've got both legs shackled together. So if I back up just a smidge to where I was in straight ashi, you guys see how in straight ashi, his secondary leg here is more or less behind me. So it's harder for me to control both legs simultaneously. Okay, you guys see that? In straight ashi or cross ashi, I'm facing both legs. Much easier for me to control both if I wanted to. So 3 good reasons to choose cross ashi over straight ashi. Stronger submission, closed wedges instead of open wedges, and access to both legs. Now here we are passing again. Dom fights for inside position, once again bringing knee and elbow together. Now this time I kept my right knee in front of Dom. I was able to stand my left hip, keep my right knee in there to maintain space. He's really trying to fight to bring us to that side through. And he once again goes back to his knee cut. This time, since I get my left foot in the hip, he's not able to get as deep on it, and I'm able to keep him out and away easier. However, Dom has now punched in that same underhook that stopped me from getting the ashigurami before, but because he punched in an underhook and his chest is far away, what kind of position is his limb in?
Extended.
It's extended. And that anytime you have an extended limb like that and you're giving that extended limb to your opponent, that's never a good thing. I'm able to use that to hit an armbar. I control the shoulder with my knees. I control the wrist with my armpit, and I drive my hips up into the elbow. So again, I saw an extended limb and I jumped on the opportunity. Once again, he tries to fight inside. My left foot keeps fighting back to the inside position. We're in butterfly guard. Now here's another topic. We're going to get into arm bars for a second, and we're going to talk about what Danaher calls, and what I've adopted, and I'm talking about this a lot now too, is the 45 inside position. If you want to be able to lock up an arm bar from the closed guard, you need 2 things: 45-degree posture and an elbow inside your hip. So I commit one hand to controlling the posture and the other hand to controlling the elbow. 45 and inside. Anytime I have 45 inside, I can get my legs into a position we call the top lock, where my legs come up and lock over the shoulder right here. Now this is open wedges. I should cross my ankles here. Actually, this is a pretty sloppy arm bar, to be honest, because I'm not controlling the posture at all here. If Dom wanted to rip his posture up one way, he would have been able to. However, this 45 inside position allows me to get my hips tight to the shoulder, which is what you need. If you guys are attacking a limb, you want your hips tight to the base of the limb, in this case, the shoulder. If we're going into ashigurami, I want to be hip to hip with my opponent. If I'm going into arm bars, I want to be hip to shoulder. Okay, always at the base of the limb. So here I'm hip to shoulder, and I'm able to get the arm bar. Now take a really quick look at my hand configuration with the 45 inside, because I want you to understand there's more than one way to control 45 inside. What arm am I controlling Dom's elbow with? The straight arm or a cross arm? Is that a straight elbow control or a cross elbow control?
Cross.
Cross elbow control. So I have cross elbow control and a collar tie here. I'm going to do the same thing later, 45 inside, with a straight elbow control. So you guys will see it doesn't really matter how you're accomplishing these tasks, as long as you can check off both of these things. Is my opponent's posture broken to 45 degrees? Is my opponent's elbow inside my hip? However you can get that done, you can get to your top lock and to your arm bar. So here we're restarting. Closed guard now. Dom should be getting up to his feet to open my closed guard. He should be fighting the vertical posture, so he's on his feet, but he's staying in a really squatted position. It's going to be hard for him to break my open guard from there. Now, once again, he extended his arm. I took advantage. I now have what is called a pinch headlock, where I've got his head and his arm pinched together. It's basically a seatbelt from the front. And we're going to move back into that 45 inside here in a second. Okay. So right here, you guys can see Dom's left elbow. Okay. What's significant about the position of his left elbow here? Why can't I go into an arm bar yet?
Outside your hip.
Good. The elbow is outside the hip. So once again, I'm going to look to control that elbow, and I'm going to use my right hand to push his elbow inside my hip. So I have my left hand committed to a 45-degree posture. My right hand is committed to keeping his elbow inside my hips. We have 45 inside, requirements met. Once that elbow gets inside. Elbow still outside, out there it's inside, and there's the top lock. Okay, it happened very quick, but I notice another thing, guys, and this is important too. Just for energy efficiency. When you notice when I got the collar tie and I got my elbow on my hand on the elbow, I didn't try to force it in with everything I got. I didn't show him exactly what I wanted to do. I grabbed the elbow, I grabbed the collar tie, and I kind of waited. I waited for him to move. If he wants to hunker down and hold his elbow in place, it's going to be so hard for me to push that elbow inside. But when I relax, I get my grips and I relax my arms. As soon as Dom goes to move his arm, it now becomes very easy to push because he's not holding it in place. If he goes to move his arm and I can redirect it. If I try to move an object that's stationary and rigid, it's hard. But if I wait for that to move, and then I can just take that movement energy and redirect it, that becomes so much easier. It doesn't take as much force on my part. So that's another reason I'm able to grapple and stay fairly calm or stay fairly relaxed and energy efficient most of the time. So notice again, I had that elbow grip, but I didn't fight for it all the time. Watch how I'm going to wait for his hand to start to move. And now I'm able to get that elbow inside my hip. I'm able to get up to the top lock. Now here's that shoulder control that I talked about. Here's the closed wedges. I've got my legs crossed, so my left leg reinforces the position of my right, and my right leg reinforces the position of my left. And I'm locked over the shoulder. I'm hip to shoulder. Now that my hips are connected to his shoulder, I'm going to turn an angle, and there's an arm bar. So that idea, what again, guys, what do we need to get an arm bar? What's that thing that we called, and what does it mean?
45 inside.
45 inside. Who can tell me what it means?
Their bodies at a 45.
What was that?
Their elbows on the inside of your hip.
Good, that's inside, perfect. What's 45, guys?
45-degree
degrees.
angle.
Yeah, it's 45-degree posture. His posture is at a 45-degree angle. He's broken forward. If you can get those two things, you can get to a top lock. And then from the top lock, go to an arm bar. Let's talk on that really quick too. Because I want you guys to understand, don't go right for your arm bars. A lot of people from here would try to take the leg from the hip and go all the way around right to the head. That's a lot of time. Okay, that gives Dom a lot of chance to defend. So I almost always take the stop at this top lock. So I go from hip to shoulder, I lock and I set, and I wait. Then when I try to bring my leg over the head, I've got a much shorter distance to travel. So it's much harder for him to defend. He has a much smaller window of opportunity to try to intercept that leg. All right, so now he approaches again. I pummel my left leg inside as a lasso. And here I get more inside position. He's kind of not a whole lot to say here, but so here he moves his feet, both feet to one side of my body. So that's good for him. He can start to get an angle on me. However, he's kept extended legs. So I have a limb that's extended. Anytime we have a limb that's extended, we can try to isolate by controlling up above the joint. So here I'm setting an ashi. Now here Dom makes a mistake. So I want you guys to pay attention to this mistake so you don't make it yourselves. When you're caught in an ashigarami, you want to stay on your feet. We talked about this on Thursday too. From here, I want to break Dom down to a hip, which is a much easier breaking position for me. He should want to stay in a standing position. It looks like Dom just kind of surrenders this fight. I don't think he understands how important or how strong of a defense it is to stay on your feet. And he drops down to his butt. Poor call on his part. Now I need to capture the knee line. Dom sat down so he could try to suck his leg away. So that's why he sat down. He wanted to be able to try to pull his right knee out, kick his leg away, and I need to keep his knee in. So watch, I'm going to flare my left knee open to recapture the knee line. Here. I shoot down the leg with my left knee to capture the knee line. Now I'm able to go through and get my heel hook. I don't even think I got the heel hook there. I think Dom started just tapping to the position. So I pummel inside with a lasso. Once again, so I have inside position, keeping my feet pointed at Dom. Tries to drag across, but the reason it didn't work, and this is another important lesson, guys, is that try not to fight battles that, you're pretty much doomed to lose. That's just a wasted energy, okay? So here, Dom wants to try to rip my leg across his body. However, I've anchored my leg to the right side of his body with this lasso. Even though he's pummeled his hand out, I still have the sleeve gripped. So because my left arm is connected to his left arm, he's not going to be able to push my leg across. Does that make sense? Like my arm and his arm are making a wall that his leg is caught on the outside. So he's going to go to rip my arm across, but my leg is stuck behind that wall. Okay, so it looks like you guys are in the way. I have to move this thing here. Okay. So once again, Dom's looking to punch in that underhook, but what mistake is he making here? Something we've talked about a bunch already.
He's already putting himself in 45-degree angle.
There's that. And what about his right arm here?
It's extended.
It's extended. He's got an extended arm, punched in as an underhook. So I'm once again doing that same arm bar where I try to pinch my knees around the shoulder. I move the leg over the head for some reason. Let me see why I do that. Oh, because I stripped that off and because he was passing around. So I didn't want him to be able to push himself past my knees. So I take my left leg over the head as a barrier there. So he's not able to keep walking around and circling around. So again, now, what do I need to do here? What's bad about my armbar control? What am I doing wrong?
Should be over your hips.
It should be over my hips. I mean, yeah, we definitely want to break over the hip. But Dom's able to go into an escape right now. Why?
No torso control.
Torso leg. That's exactly right. So because I don't have a torso leg, he's able to move his body out. He's able to get to his knees. I realize the problem, so I take my torso leg in kind of after the fact, and I'm able to still immobilize and break. But I lost that's the importance of not having that torso control, that torso leg. Once again, Dom connects right knee and right elbow. He's stopping my left leg from pummeling inside. I'm trying to throw in a lasso, and it looks like I'm able to get it in. And he's repummeling inside, and then I repummel inside. So hopefully you guys are understanding the importance of inside position by this point. Like it's just constantly fighting to see who's going to get the inside position. Once again, I got inside position with the knee off the mat, so I got into an ashigarami. Now here, Dom is starting to do the right thing. What's Dom doing that's smart at that point? What did he just do that was a good thing for him to do?
Grab your lapel.
Grab my lapel, good. And what about his hips? Because grabbing my lapel is helping him do what with his hips?
Pull his hips towards your leg.
Toward my leg and getting him off.
Off center line.
Off the center, off the mat too is really what I'm looking for. Remember, if I want to break him, I want him down on the mat. He doesn't want his hips down on the mat. If his hips are down on the mat, I can go into submission. So he gets his hips off the mat. Now, because these hips are coming off the mat, I'm going to try to elevate his hips and go into a reverse X transition. That's a little more advanced, but the idea that now once again, he sits his hips down to the mat and watch what happens. The second he sits his hips on the mat, he just taps. Okay, now again, Dom's gotten to the point where he's just tapping to the position at this point. I think he's getting a little overwhelmed and frustrated with all the ashigaramis. But the idea that as long as his hips were off the mat, he could fight. The second his hips go down, he's like, okay, it's deep now. So if you guys get caught in an ashigarami, if you can stand up, that should be your very first move. You're caught in ashigarami, stand up and stay standing. Okay, put a star by that, circle it, underline it, whatever you got to do. Very important concept that'll make it much harder for me to submit you guys with leg locks. Okay, now again, you guys see now Dom is really trying to hide his inside position by keeping his knees pinched. Okay, if I should take advantage of this by coming up and hugging the legs. I think I could glue his two knees together, but I'm staying down on my back. I haven't really done much wrestling, or I haven't really done much top position this roll. I must be feeling really lazy this round, just staying on my back. So Dom shifts his hips again to try to hide the inside position, but I'm still able to get my feet back inside. Okay, I'm seeing an extended limb here again. Okay, so again, Dom's keeping his upper body away, but he's reaching with that right arm. Let's see if I can take advantage. I'm attacking it. This time, Dom recognizes the danger and pulls it out. All right, back into cross ashi. And yeah, Dom is clearly just tapping the position now. This was kind of a more advanced one. So for those of you who are maybe a little more advanced, you may appreciate this. I have double inside position. And once again, if you guys remember at the top of the class, Dom shifted his hips to hide his center line. So he's doing it again. Dom is turning his center line away from me to take away the angle for my entry to straight ashi. However, this is going to give me a good opportunity to pummel into cross ashi by taking my left leg, my far leg, and pummeling it underneath of Dom's left leg. So I'm going to try to pause as we're going because this is going to happen quick. Okay. Okay, so my left foot here needs to pummel out and around to come underneath this leg. So there it's starting to pummel. I'm going to lift his hips so that I can make plenty of room to go underneath the leg. And you guys see my left leg punch behind there. Okay, so I'll let you guys watch that one more time, regular speed. Now I need to pummel my left leg around and underneath his bottom leg. And there's my cross ashi. And again, he just taps to the cross ashi. Once again, he's pummeling inside position. Oh, I didn't see that before. That was really good. That was cool. Watch what he does here. This is super cool. So I have an inside position with my right leg. Okay, Dom gets, he like straightens his leg back and away and just pummels it around. Okay, really simple, but also important. An important small piece of the fight. These are the small movements that like are going on at a higher level of jiu-jitsu that you're not always going to see when you're watching unless you're paying attention and looking for it. So here I have inside position. Dom's going to punch back, come back inside, and steal inside position on my right leg, forcing me. And again, as soon as I lose position on that leg, I try to pummel it back inside. It doesn't do any good to stay on the outside here. So I pummel it back in. Now here, I was looking for a belt grip. I'm going to try to kick him up and over my head. The belt grip would have allowed me to pull his hips better. Since he doesn't have the belt grip, his belt on the ground over here, I can only get about mid-back, so I don't have a good pull on the spine. But it looks like he left behind an extended limb again. Now I'm into an attack on the right arm. Let's see if we can see where that happened. Okay, so he's posting on the mat again. To Greg's point, hands to the mat are not a good thing. Like Greg told us earlier, hands to the mat usually bad. So yeah, he's starting to move. So he's keeping his hand on the mat, and he's moving his head away. So that arm is getting further and further extended the more he backs away, and that gives me opportunities to once again attack that right arm. And it looks like the round ended there. So, okay, it's 11:40. What I want to do now for you guys is I'm going to give you guys a couple solo drills you can do to help you with pummeling to the inside position, learning to get that skill really good. just come with me to my mat room, but you guys don't really have a choice because you can't stop me from carrying my computer. I guess you could leave the meeting. Okay. So you'll see a lot of people. If you guys want to get a spot on the floor and do this yourselves, feel free. If you guys just want to watch, feel free. You'll see a lot of jiu-jitsu guys warming up just by pummeling like this. Okay. A lot of people do this as just like a mundane, thoughtless exercise. They're just circle, 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 circle. Okay, let's go on to the next exercise. When you guys are doing leg pummeling, you should be visualizing your opponent's arms or your opponent's legs. So when I'm in the gym, I shouldn't just be endlessly circling. Okay, I should be circle inside here. Sometimes there'll be a really quick 1-2 like that, where like they're trying to push my feet out, and I go circle, and I keep my feet close together here. If my feet are really close together, it's really hard for them to get inside position. So I circle, and then I'll keep my feet close together, my knees up by my chest to defend my guard. I'll circle a little bit again. And this is how you do it from flat in your back. Now, let's say somebody's starting to go into like a knee cut pass, and they're forcing me onto one hip. You can do leg circles from here too. It's gonna be this top leg. This leg's killed, but imagine that they're pummeling inside, and I have to take this leg out and around. I have to bring it close to my face, as close as I can, and I pummel it over the shoulder as a lasso. So you can imagine yourself framing and pummel inside. Anytime I frame, what I think is a really good way to practice these drills on your own is to frame and then take your foot to your own hand. Because whatever you're framing against, you want to replace your hand frames with a foot frame, and then you can push it even more. Okay, so you block, foot replaces, and now you can start to push away and make space. Another way you guys can drill this is with like a hand frame. Imagine I'm playing guard. I have an opponent who's circling out to my right-hand side looking to pass guard. He throws my legs to this side, so I can't even get my legs in, right? Maybe like a Toriano or a leg drag, he threw my legs. I'm gonna frame, and now my left leg is gonna kick out and over, and I'm gonna touch my left foot to my left hand. Now I bring in my right hand, and now I have frames. I can start bringing my knees back to the inside position and recover my guard. So again, that drill, I'm here. My opponent begins to pass. Maybe they throw my hips to the opposite direction. So I frame. I bring my hand right onto my foot. I frame with both hands. And now I can start bringing either a knee inside, or I could even use this top leg, just push them away. So either one is okay. Generally, for solo drilling, I recommend bringing a knee inside, because elbow, like framing and bringing a knee inside is probably the most common way to escape. So you frame, knee inside, use your left foot on the mat to get back to alignment with them. But if you want, like in a more of a realistic setting, like if you were actually fighting somebody, just as easily frame here and then push them away with a leg would work well as well. So we have flat in our back. Here, pummeling to the inside, you can either go over the arms or you can go under the arms. Okay, so a lot of jiu-jitsu guys just teach this as circle one way, circle the other way. But what are you learning? What are you doing by being able to circle like that? I'm learning to pummel to the inside by position by going over the arm, and I pummel to the inside position by going under the arm. Okay, so we have these drills. We have drills where I could look at framing. So I could be here on one side, I could frame, then bring my foot back in, okay? Otherwise, the situation open guard, they throw to one side, I throw my legs to one side, I frame, my legs have to come back over here, and then I can frame, I start to come back and recover my guard. One more leg pummeling exercise that I can give to you guys that I didn't do in the video, but that is also valuable. I'm playing seated butterfly guard. Somebody goes to lift my ankles. You guys have seen this before where you're playing and somebody lifts your ankles to force you back onto your mat. From butterfly guard, learn to lean back a little bit and pummel your feet. Okay, so imagine your opponent lifts underneath your ankle and they want to throw your back down. Here. Imagine they start to throw you back and you're starting to lose it. You can post and pummel. So if I get thrown backwards and pummel my ankles free. Okay, so these are all good drills you can do. One last exercise that I'm going to give you guys that's sort of related to leg pummeling is body folding. Leg pummeling takes a lot of core strength. Playing open guard for extended periods of time takes a lot of core strength because you're holding your legs up off the ground. This engages the core. Good ways to improve the core are body folding. So laying here, laying flat, and now just trying to, with straight legs, take your feet and your hips up and over your head, touch your feet, come back down, okay? Some of you guys may struggle to do this, especially if you're newer to jiu-jitsu and you haven't built the core strength yet. But trust me that over time, this will help you get the ability to fold. Now, if you guys can do this, this will also help you with guard retention. I can leg pummel from an inverted position. If I'm up and they're trying to force their way between my legs to get to like a north-south, I can leg pummel from this position too, where I'm looking to circle my feet back to the inside position, turn and face my opponent. Okay, so real quick recap of those. I have supine leg pummeling on my back. Again, visualizing that I'm going over the arms and under the arms. I have single leg pummeling where maybe I'm defending a knee cut pass or a pass to one side and I'm just using my top leg to pummel inside. I have this situation where my opponent throws a leg, hand and foot, kind of recover. Seated leg pummeling for when my opponents try to lift my ankles or try to, fight for the inside from here. Maybe they start to scoop inside and I have to bring this leg back inside with hand props if they throw me back. And then body folding, just to help you guys build the core strength to help with your guard retention. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on today's lesson so far? All right, looks like. So let's review a couple of these key details, okay? Obviously, inside position was a huge one. I don't even know how to ask a good question with that, but when people are coming into you, I need inside position so I can keep framing against them. If they get inside my hands, I can't push against them, okay? If you're trying to pass against me right here and I can go here, you're gonna be stuck. But if you can get inside my hands, I have no way to keep you away anymore. You're gonna come in right chest to chest. So always fighting and pummeling for the inside position. What kind of limbs are vulnerable? What kind of limb position?
Extended limbs.
Perfect, Nick. Good job, Nick. Anytime limbs are extended, look to isolate the arms. Specifically where? What part of the limb do we want to set wedges around?
The base of that limb.
Yes, the upper side of that limb. Was that Emma? Was that you? No.
It was Winnie.
Winnie.
Yes. Yes, the upper part of the limb here from elbow to body. If we can stop them from getting their elbow connected to their body, or even if they can, but we can force that arm back out and away, we can break it. Okay. If you guys find yourselves in ashigarami, somebody's trying to attack your leg, what should you do just as your initial first defense to make it very tough to finish you?
Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up. Put weight on that foot, stand up, get all the way to your feet, and then try to stand your feet. Work on a balance game there, okay? Once you stand up, yes, you're going to want to try to pry things apart, but you're also going to need to make sure you're stable, okay? Because anytime you get knocked back down to your hip, you're now in danger of being submitted again. So stand up anytime you find yourself inside that ashigarami. And then if I want to attack an arm bar from closed guard, there's two different things to consider. One, what are the two prerequisites? I'll ask that first because that was the bigger detail. What are the two prerequisites to attack a good armbar from closed guard?
45.
45 inside.
And
45 inside, 45-degree posture, and elbow inside the hip. Once I get 45 inside, I don't want to go to the armbar right away because that's a long way for my leg to go from the hip all the way over the head for a crossface. So we cut it up into two parts. Where do I first put that leg? Where's that halfway point? What position do we call that?
Top lock.
Top block.
The top lock. Yes, we lock it right up on top of the shoulder. Now I only need, when I put my crossface leg in place, I only have to go from one shoulder to the other shoulder instead of all the way down here from the hip, all the way up to the shoulder. Okay, that's a long distance to travel. Go top lock first, hold it, control, then go to the other shoulder. That is, I mean, you guys did a great job. Did a great job with the questions. It sounds like you guys learned quite a bit. We got 45 inside for the arm bars with the top lock. We got standing up off the mat if you guys are in an Ashigurami. We have fighting to the inside position and the importance of leg pummeling with some solo exercises to go along with it. And you guys can do those solo exercises. I mean, they're very easy. Leg pummeling, you can do that while watching TV. Throw on an episode of whatever Netflix show you want and just do some leg pummeling exercises, some body folding, build the core strength. That's all I got today, guys. Great work. Does anyone have any last minute additions or questions before we sign out?
Why did Hayden look so weak and Dom look so good?
Well, in Hayden's defense, I gave you guys a 5-second snapshot video. Dom had a long time to fight. Actually, I think the next video in my category or my folder is a couple rolls with Hayden. I think I have two rounds with Hayden in the next coming classes. So.
And guys, he had the sound off. You didn't see that I was saying, hey, can you show me how you like to set up the Ashigurami? And it was just an instructional.
Yeah, I was just showing them how to do it. That's all. All right. Thank you guys. So any other questions? Well, great. So what do I do, Andy or Greg? How do I upload this? Do I just hit stop recording?
Yep.
Okay. Stop.
I'll do it for you, man.